$500. That is how much it costs to build the weapon that just shut down 20% of the world's oil supply. No stealth technology. No satellite guidance. No artificial intelligence. A delta-wing drone with a lawnmower engine and a warhead the size of a suitcase. And it is defeating militaries that spend $2 trillion a year. This is not the future of warfare. This is warfare right now. Comment below, can you guess how many of these Iran builds every month? I reply to everyone.
Meet the Shahed 136. Built by Iran's military industry, it looks like a flying triangle. 2.5 meters long. A simple turbojet engine that sounds like a lawnmower. A guidance system that uses GPS and inertial navigation technology from the 1980s. And a 50-kilogram warhead. Nothing about this drone is advanced. That is exactly the point. A Tomahawk cruise missile costs $1.8 million. It uses terrain-following radar, digital scene matching, and a turbofan engine built to military specification. The Shahed uses none of that. It flies in a straight line, hits what it is aimed at, and costs $500. Iran builds 10,000 of these every single month. That is not a typo. 10,000. Their factories run 3 shifts, 7 days a week. The components are commercially available: small engines, basic electronics, fiberglass airframes. Nothing that requires advanced manufacturing. The range is 700 to 1,000 kilometers. Enough to reach any target in the Persian Gulf, Israel, or US bases across the Middle East. They launch from a simple rail on the back of a truck. No runway. No aircraft carrier. No billion-dollar infrastructure.
Iran spends $14 billion a year on its military. The United States spends $886 billion. Israel spends $24 billion. Saudi Arabia spends $75 billion. Iran is outspent 60 to 1. They cannot build aircraft carriers. They cannot match the F-35. They cannot compete in traditional warfare. So they asked a different question: what if we do not compete at all? Their doctrine is called asymmetric warfare. Instead of matching strength with strength, you find the one thing your opponent cannot defend against economically. The answer was mass. Thousands of cheap drones that overwhelm expensive defenses by sheer numbers. Shoot down one shot with a $2 million Patriot interceptor. Iran launches 50 more. Shoot down 50. They build 500 in a week. The math never works in the defender's favor. This is not a bug in Iran's strategy. It is the entire strategy. Subscribe to Tatveda. I break down how technology changes power every single week.
Iran did not invent this playbook alone. Ukraine proved it first. Starting in late 2022, Russia began launching Shahed drones at Ukrainian cities. Hundreds at a time. Ukraine faced an impossible choice: use Patriot missiles at $2 million each to shoot down $500 drones? The math was suicidal. Ukraine's solution was ingenious. They mounted machine guns on pickup trucks. They trained soldiers to shoot drones with rifles. They developed electronic jammers that cost a few $1,000s. They refused to play the expensive game. But here is the lesson Iran learned. The drones did not need to destroy their targets. They just needed to force the enemy to spend. Every Patriot missile fired at a Shahed was a Patriot missile not available for a real ballistic missile. Every radar tracking a drone swarm was a radar not watching the sky for jets. The Shahed is not just a weapon. It is an economic weapon. It drains your opponent's treasury while barely touching yours.
Then Iran went further. On March 1st, they deployed something no military had ever used in combat: autonomous explosive drone boats. Unmanned surface vessels. No crew. Packed with explosives. One operator sitting in a room on the Iranian coast, controlling 10 boats simultaneously through a satellite link. The boats coordinate with each other. They approach from multiple directions. Overhead drones provide targeting. They attacked a commercial tanker near the Strait of Hormuz. The footage went viral among naval commanders. Here is the problem. The US Navy has spent decades optimizing for one threat: enemy warships and submarines. Its defenses point outward and downward. But a swarm of 10 speedboats approaching from every direction at 40 knots. There is no protocol. There is no training manual. An aircraft carrier that costs $13 billion has no reliable defense against speedboats that cost $5,000 each.
Let us do the math. Because this is where wars are really won and lost. One Patriot interceptor, $2 million. One Shahed drone, $500. Cost ratio, 4,000 to 1. One aircraft carrier battle group, $25 billion. 100 drone boats, $500,000. Cost ratio, 50,000 to 1. One Iron Dome interceptor, $50,000. One rocket, $300. Cost ratio, 160 to 1. In every case, the defender pays thousands of times more than the attacker. And here is the critical insight: the attacker's industrial capacity is growing faster. Iran adds 10,000 drones per month. The US produces roughly 200 Patriot missiles per year. History has a word for this. It is called imperial overstretch. The Roman Empire did not fall because its legions were weak. It fell because it could not afford to defend every border. The British Empire did not collapse because it lost battles. It collapsed because maintaining global defense became economically impossible. The $500 drone is not just a weapon. It is a statement about the future of military power.
So why has no one solved this? Lasers. The US is developing directed energy weapons that can shoot down drones for a few dollars per shot. But they require massive power supplies. They struggle in rain and fog, and they can only engage one target at a time. Against a swarm of 50 drones arriving simultaneously, a laser stops maybe 3. Electronic jamming. You can disrupt GPS signals. But the latest shards use inertial navigation. They do not need GPS once launched. Jam all you want. The drone keeps flying. Artificial intelligence defense. Train algorithms to detect and track swarms automatically. This is the most promising approach. But it is years from deployment, and the offensive technology keeps evolving faster. The fundamental problem is physics. A small, cheap, expendable object flying at low altitude is inherently difficult to detect and destroy. Every defense costs more than the attack. And that ratio does not improve with more technology. It gets worse.
Every century has a weapon that rewrites the rules. The musket ended knights. The machine gun ended cavalry charges. The nuclear bomb ended world wars. The drone may end the era of expensive military superpowers. A country that spends $14 billion a year just forced a country that spends $886 billion to rethink every assumption about defense. Not because Iran is more advanced. Because Iran asked the right question: what is the cheapest way to make the most expensive military in history too expensive to use?
If this breakdown changed how you think about modern warfare, hit like. Share it with someone who still thinks wars are won by aircraft carriers. And subscribe to Tatveda. I will keep breaking down the moments that reshape the world.